Hello, wonderful church family and friends of Prodigal Church. I hope you are all well and able to enjoy some more of the relaxed restrictions from coronavirus and being able to see a little bit of normality return to your lives and to your daily activities. Today we're going to look at a message that really had its seeds before the first service of Prodigal Church, and it's kind of interesting that it has evolved to where it is today. My title is Stress Buster. You remember the movie? I'm sure you probably do. I Ain't Afraid of No Ghosts, Ghostbusters. Well, today we're going to look at a stress buster. And this title, this message had its roots before there was a Prodigal Church, as Robin and I were brainstorming and coming up with things that would be pertinent to our culture today. And of course, that was well before the word coronavirus or COVID-19 even existed where we knew it. And how much more practical and applicable is that message today? This message has a few roots. One of those roots is the fact I sort of sped it up because this past week I called a friend who I've known for 20 years the wrong name, and it made me a little bit worried and concerned about my mental health. And so I called my doctor's office and was referred to in laughter some material on stress. Because stress causes you to be forgetful, and I want to share with you some things that can happen as a result of stress. And I'm doing this because if you are listening to my words, whether you are owning up to this or not, you are under stress. You are under more stress than you have ever been under because your world is upside down from what it used to be. Now, listen to these. I think you'll get a kick out of some of these. These are signs and symptoms of stress. The first one is vasovagal. It means your heart rate, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate may speed up, you have pale skin, you may be feeling like you're going to faint, you may be feeling like you're going to pass out, you may feel like your heart is racing. That's vasovagal. That's a sign of stress. Decreased immune system. You don't even know that one's going on, but you may be more susceptible. And in this situation, you surely don't want to have a decreased immune system. You want your immune system to be at its height so that you don't get coronavirus. Another sign, symptom of stress is poor digestion, stomach aches, bloating, nausea. Some of those things can be a part of stress. Acne, isn't that funny? I don't have to worry about that. I hadn't had to worry about acne in about 50 years. But acne, you tend to touch your face more when you're under stress. So now all of you are going, am I touching my face more? Headaches, grinding your teeth in your sleep. Poor diet. You're going to have blood sugar spikes because your diet has changed. You're not hungry, or you're eating the wrong foods, that kind of thing. Decreased libido. Appetite changes, suppressed or overstimulated. Maybe your appetite is gone, and maybe your appetite is you're just binging and eating everything in sight. Also, muscle tension, back, neck, shoulders, and chest being tense. My left hand's been numb for weeks. I don't know if it's because of coronavirus stress or just what it is. Also, rapid heart rate. Your adrenaline and your cortisol levels are spiking and going crazy because of stress. Now, here's some of the mental issues that are associated with stress. Depression, anxiety, memory loss, there it is, concentration, moody, angry, feeling overwhelmed, feeling worry, feeling loneliness. I don't know about you, but I have had more than one situation. One sort of keyed me this week when I called my friend the wrong name, but I've had more than one situation where I've forgotten a person's name. I've looked right at somebody I've known for years. Those are all symptoms of what's going on with stress. Now, I want to share with you a theme here for our message today, and I want you to get a handle on it. I want you to see where it's going to go. I think you'll enjoy this message. I think it will offer you some encouragement and some challenge and some very practical ways to help deal with the stress you're feeling under. Everyone hearing these words is dealing with some form of stress right now. Here's some of the ways it's happening. Your world is upside down. Your kids came home from school way earlier than they were supposed to. Summer didn't happen. Summer happened way early. In the middle of spring, when it's still cool, your summer started. Your spouse may be working out of the house now. You're not used to that. You're not accustomed to that. Your friends, you don't get to see them as often. You don't get to travel like you used to. You don't get the conveniences of shopping when you want to without a mask on, without feeling fearful. You've had losses, graduation, prom, sports, everything from kids' sports going to your children's ball games. They're not getting to play sports. I surely know about that because I haven't been taking any team pictures since March 9th. None. Even schools, no sports teams. Or the pros. If you're a big baseball fan, Major League Baseball, you've been wanting to start. Maybe you were a race fan, so you got to watch 2 races where they had no stands in the crowd. No crowds in the stands. Everything is different. The parks are closed, your favorite stores are not reopening or have just started reopening, and you have to wait in line and be counted off and get checked in before you can walk in the store. Maybe you work at home. Maybe you've never worked at home before. Maybe you're working at home now. Maybe your office is closed. One friend from the church said they go to their office and they're the only one on the whole floor. And they're enjoying that because it's nice and quiet. Others, your job site has become a place of concern. Is somebody there carrying the virus? It's a very unusual situation. How about financial issues? Many of us have seen huge financial hits from this. I heard yesterday that 48% of all people in America are employed by small business. Well, you know all about, you've seen the statistics every day, the keep growing rate of unemployment. Well, if 48% work for small business, I also learned that only 1 in 4 small businesses will likely return after the COVID virus is really under wraps and where we can move it forward. My business personally, I got word today that we're going to be able to start shooting pictures at an event that I've done every year for the last 13 years. 6 weeks of basketball. The only thing is, it's going to be minuscule. The number of people who can come in the door is minuscule. The teams that I've got already coming together for the fall are minuscule compared to where they've been in the past. So even though my business will start coming back, it will be years, if ever, when it's back like it once was. So some of you have felt that issue with the financial fears and the financial worries, and stress as a result. It puts stress on you. Also worship. Who's worshiped like they've always worshiped in the last 6-8 weeks? We stopped worship in March and we haven't had a fellowship together. What's really funny is I was preaching on worship and we had to stop it on the message that is waiting is one on fellowship and on being together and in close proximity and in sharing in fellowship. When will I ever even get to preach that one? Well, maybe your worship right now is watching your computer and your prayer times during the week with some friends, that sort of thing. Worship, everything is turned upside down. Well, the Bible offers us some great principles for stress management. And as some of you remember, I gave you an acronym, many of you already knew it, for prayer, ACTS, 4 great types of prayer: adoration, confession, thanksgiving, supplication, ACTS. Got an acronym for you, STRESS. And we're going to run through this together. I hope these things are encouraging and challenging and give you some good insights as to ways you can deal with this stress. Now, I want to tell you, I'm going to be dead level honest with you. I'm struggling with this. I like it when God uses a message that I'm struggling with because He does that a whole lot. But this isn't easy. I'm feeling under tremendous amounts of stress. And I want to be able to have the victories by using these principles that He wants us to use to deal with our stress. All right, S, surrender. I'm going to give you, I've researched a bunch of verses for each one of these, but I'm only going to give you one verse because it would be a whole message just to give you one of them. So one verse for each of these 6 letters, each of these 6 principles that we've got summarized to a word, just like the word acts for prayer. This is the word stress for our stress busters. The first of these is surrender. God opposes the proud, this is James 4, 6, and 7, but gives grace to the humble. Submit yourselves then to God. That's surrender. Submission to God is surrender. When I was a kid, my dad was a pilot. He didn't fly for a living. He was in real estate, but he was part of a flying club. He helped start the Greensboro Flying Club, and he would fly in a little Piper Cub. Now, not all airplanes are the same, and not all airplanes do the same kind of things. My son is also a pilot, and he flies some very powerful planes that would not respond like this at all. But my dad's little Piper Cub, he would tell me that the way you deal with what's called a stall, and a stall happens when you're in an airplane, and the wings are shaped to give an airplane lift. And if you try with a little airplane, this little small 3-seater airplane that's got just minimal horsepower, and you're going up, if you try to go up too steep an angle, it will cause stall. It's something called a stall. That means it's not getting enough lift to keep it moving, and it doesn't have a powerful enough motor and propellers and all that kind of stuff like a trick plane, a stunt plane, like one of the ones my son flies, that can keep pulling it up. It will start to fall. Now, my dad would tell me, the way you deal with that is you take your hands off the controls, your feet off the pedals. It's critical to do that because if you try to grab those things, you can put the plane into a spin. If you try to use the pedals, you'll put the plane for sure into a spin, which is much harder to recover than just a stall. But if you'll take your hands off the controls, if you'll surrender to those controls, then the plane, and give the plane a little gas, the nose will go down, it'll get lift again, and it'll level out. You can then grab your controls again because everything is leveled off. It's funny that I was using this in this message this week, and a friend from a church where I was pastor this week reiterated this story to me. He remembered it from a message from before. Taking our hands off the controls. That's how we surrender to God. God, I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm panicked. I'm under stress. I take my hands off. You take the controls. My wife is known these days to say if something's going on and it looks like it's just going out of control, she'll say, Jesus, take the wheel. I think it was Carrie Underwood or one of those country singers that did a song, Jesus, take the wheel. That's a great message for us to keep in here. Jesus, I surrender. Take the wheel. I'm going to run this plane into the ground. I'm going to run this car off the cliff. Jesus, take the wheel. That's your S. Your T is trust. Here's your verse. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Now, over the years as a pastor, I was involved numerous times in some team building exercises. And one of the ones we did one time at a retreat center was to get people over a wall. The wall was about 10 feet high. You had 6 people on your team. Nobody could jump up and grab the top of the wall, so you had to make a way to get everybody from one side of the wall to the other. And of course, what you had to do is get one person on somebody's shoulders or get 2 people to hold somebody up to where they could grab the top and get them up on the top, and then they would start pulling people up. And then once you got to the last person, you'd try to anchor that person so he could pull that person up and then get them over the wall and then let them back down so nobody got hurt. Well, the idea was it took teamwork. It took trusting each other because you were totally at the mercy of each person. You couldn't do it on your own. That's what happens when we trust God. We say, God, I can't do this on my own. I want to be faithful to you. I'll surrender, but now I want to be faithful. I want to trust you. Lord, I want to be your vessel. I want to be your arms or your hands and feet for that person that needs to get over the wall. But I want to trust you to help make it happen. Lord, I know I can't get to the top of the wall to be the anchor without you getting me to the top of the wall. And I'm going to trust you to get me there. If you want to deal with stress, you got to be trusting God. When you turn things over to him, you got to say, God, this isn't going like I meant. I'm going to take the controls back. And you got to say, nope, God, I'm going to trust you. I've taken my hands off. I know that if I grab the controls, I'm going to go into a spin and probably fly into the ground. So now I'm going to trust you. Lord, let me step back and trust you and what you have in store, what you have in mind, which is better than whatever I could think of to get me through, get me home, get me safe. Takes off stress when we do. It's not our problem. You know, I once learned a definition for worry. And worry is the absence of trust. Worry is taking responsibility for things that are the responsibility of God. If I've really given my life to Christ, I've trusted him, I've surrendered to him, and now I've said, Lord, I lay my life in your hands. I'm going to trust you to get me through, get me over that wall. The next one, the next letter in our acronym for stress busters in the word stress is rest. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. Come to me, all who are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. I don't know about you folks. I haven't been sleeping well. I wake up in the middle of the night every night with stuff just racing through my mind. I never used to do that before COVID. And all the stuff of the income and everything that's cut off. I never used to do that. But nowadays, I wake up a lot at night. I'm not resting well. I'm not enjoying the rest that God has for me. Take a load off. Let God have these issues. Let God be the source of our rest, our strength, our joy, our hope. You know, folks, every morning I come into this same room and I sit down in here to have my quiet time. And let me show you what I see out my window. I hope you can see this. This is the golf course that's behind my home. And it's actually two 18-hole courses back there. This place is called Myrtlewood Golf Plantation back there, golf club. And it's a beautiful course. It is in pristine shape right now. I've played both of the courses a couple of times. And I'm no great golfer, but they are great courses. And they are just in wonderful shape. And the view out there is the most peaceful view in the world to me. I sit here and look out there and just feel at peace with God, looking out there over that beauty that's all part of his creation. Now, how can you look at that and not rest? And yet I can let my mind just run wide open and not rest in the Lord. And not trust in the Lord, and not surrender to the Lord. But if I will do my STR, S, surrender, trust, T, and rest in God, I can take a lot of stress off. Come to me, he says, all who labor and are heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. Friends, let God have it. Let God give you his sweet, peaceful rest. Now, the next one's fun. This is good fun. The next one's exercise. Those who hope, this is verses 40, exercise, verse 40, 31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That's from Isaiah 40, verse 31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Friends, I love to ride a bicycle. And as you know, exercise, that's our E, is exercise. As you know, exercise releases endorphins that gives you a better feeling about life. It stimulates your adrenaline and your cortisol levels get balanced and things become good inside. You feel better about yourself. You feel better about life when you exercise. Well, I love to ride a bike. This morning I got up and I was going to go on a bike ride. I told Robin last night, I'm going on a bike ride in the morning. I try to ride 3 or 4 days a week at least. And I used to race years ago. I was not real fast. My son was very, very fast, and he was national champion and 6-time North Carolina state champion and all kinds of stuff. And he and I would go to races together, and he was a hero, and I was just a guy who rode a bike in the race and finished near the end and had a good time. People liked me. But I still have a lot of miles in my legs. And when I go out on my rides, on where I ride out here at the beach, I ride down this road called Marina Boulevard. It's a very safe road to ride on. There's more bikes out there probably than cars. There's just not many cars out there yet. And a lot of bicycle rides come through here. I've been able to join up with group rides here. There's a group ride that comes by here every day. But today, and most days these days, they're not even doing many group rides right now because of COVID. I went out to ride. And sometimes when I'm out riding, I'll see somebody up ahead. And that we call a rabbit. That rabbit's somebody that I want to try to catch. And so I'll try to go a little harder and put my head down so I can get my blood going, that kind of stuff. And so that's something I want to catch. Well, every now and then I'll look in my little mirror and I'll see somebody coming from behind. And I'm their rabbit, and that's the fox. The fox, I'm the fox when I'm chasing the guy in front. That guy's a fox when he's chasing me as his rabbit. Well, when I got up today to go on my bike ride, I didn't want to go. Didn't have any desire whatsoever. I got up and I just thought, I'm just not up for this today. I'm in a funk. I don't feel good about life. I'm stressed to the gills. There we go. And I'm not really in the mood to ride, but I made myself go ride. So I got on my bike and I got out there and I saw this white helmet up ahead. And I'm in a 14-mile-an-hour headwind, which makes it even less fun. And I see this white helmet, and I think to myself, well, I'm gonna probably, in a minute, I'm gonna go ahead and try to catch that person. That'll give me something fun to set a goal, to ride harder, to get some good exercise, to push myself. And then I look down in my mirror, and there's a red helmet back there. And I can tell by a couple of glances in my mirror, he's getting closer to me. So now I had a fox to elude and a rabbit to chase. You may know where this is going. So I dropped down into my bars and got down low as I could so I could get good aerodynamics, and away I went. And I was pushing. I was watching my heart rate on my little Polar heart rate monitor. It was climbing up there, and I was getting into a good rhythm, and I kept shifting up, and the more I'd shift up, the higher the heart rate would go, and the higher the speed would go, and the harder it would go. And little by little, that red helmet starting to get smaller and smaller. And little by little, that white helmet's coming up. And before long, I caught the white helmet. Went on by, said a nice hello, kept on pushing, and watched to see the red helmet go away. You know what happened? I got home, and I wasn't in a funk anymore. Can you tell? Life is good again. Friends, I urge you, if you are dealing with stress from this pandemic, or if you are dealing with stress for any reason, get outdoors. Go do some exercise. Do something. Take a hard walk. Take a short walk that's a hard walk, or a long walk that's a slow walk, or do something. Get a bicycle and go ride to your heart's content. And you will feel much better about life. Our next letter that we're dealing with in our acronym for Stress Busters is supplication. You remember that one from ACTS. It has to do with prayer. This is Romans 12:12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Listen to those three. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. This is the time to pray for you, to pray for your needs, to pray for what's going on in your life. I don't mean sitting down going, Lord, I'm just feeling really lousy today. Please help me. Stand up and you're done. I'm talking about intimate prayer, where you get down in your chair, your comfortable chair, or in your room with your pretty view out the back, or wherever is your comfort place, and sit and commune with your Heavenly Father and say, Lord, I need you. Maybe even sing a little. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. That song that we sing. Get yourself connected to God. Get intimate with God. Restore that relationship with God. Real supplication prayer where you and God are one. And God will hear you because He promises to. And your heart will be softened. And your stress will be eased up. And your burden will be lighter because you've been in intimate fellowship with your God. Now, don't just pray for you. Pray for those needs and situations with friends and loved ones that you're involved with who need to be prayed for right now. We've got a great crew of folks that get together on Wednesday evenings to pray, and we've prayed through some very difficult things. Even had someone we were praying for pass away from COVID, a very close relative of one of our church family. And we have had some huge burdens to pray for. A couple of folks that are literally dying quickly over cancer issues. And it's been so precious. Get on your knees. Get in your time with your quiet time before God and get intimate with Him in prayer. And you will find that when you get up, your stress is relinquished in some areas of your life because you've been in that face-to-face relationship with your God. Now, last one's fun. Another fun one. Smile. That's your last S. Smile and laugh. I'm going to read you two passages. A happy heart makes the face cheerful. A happy heart, this is Proverbs 15:13. A happy heart makes the face cheerful. Guess what that is? That's a smile. A happy heart. Have a happy heart. Don't put on a fake facade. Have a happy heart. Let your heart be so in tune with God that even in the midst of this pandemic, you can feel the happiness of a relationship that you have with Holy God. And Proverbs 31:25, from that wonderful passage we call the passage of the virtuous woman, she can laugh at the days to come. The virtuous woman could laugh at the pandemic. Even though it's difficult, we're not minimizing the difficulties. We're not trying to minimize something very, very serious and real. But we are saying, because of the great goodness of our God, like Job, who looked at God in the end and said, God, you are so great. You are so mighty. You are so wonderful. You are so good. You are so gracious. Things that I can't even begin to speak of is how incredibly significant and good you are. Well, she can look, it says of the virtuous woman, at life, the days to come, and laugh. What are you doing to get a good smile on? What are you doing to get a good laugh? Watch a funny movie if you hadn't done that lately. Watch something really funny. Watch Las Vegas. If you can't watch that one and laugh, something wrong with you. I love that movie. It's so funny. Watch something funny that makes you laugh and gives you the perspective on life again, that life is good. God says, I know the plans I have made for you, plans for good, not for evil. God says in John 10:10, I come to bring you goodness. I come to bring you a good life. I come to bring you the things that bring you joy. Not like the thief comes, not like our enemy comes. I come to fulfill you, Jesus says. Stress is common in the world we live in. Stress during a pandemic is inevitable. God offers us clear principles in His Word, the Bible, to get us through these very difficult times. Let's pray. Father, thank you for these dear, dear friends. I pray that they would find a few things in this message that would give them some strength and hope and joy for the days ahead, and that you would be honored as they live their lives for you. In Jesus' name.